Hello students, welcome to Plus 2 Political Science class. Today, I will discuss Lesson 6, the Legislature. Topic of the day 6 is Relation between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Students, this covers your pages 217 till 221. The objectives of this lesson are divided into 10 days. This chapter will be covered in 10 days. And today we are going to day 6 lesson topic, that is relation between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Before discussion of this, I will tell you what are the objectives of the day 6. And first I will take the some questioning as a PK testing form of day 5 topic, that is Rajya Sabha powers and positions. Students, now tell me, how many elected members are there in the upper house of the Union Legislature? How many members are there in the upper house of Union Legislature? I am telling elected members. Come on, tell me. Yes, total members are 250 and elected members are 238. My next question is, what is the minimum age required to be a member of Rajya Sabha? What is the minimum age required to be a member of Rajya Sabha? Yes, come on. Yes, the answer is 30 years. A person must be minimum of 30 years age. My next question is, what are the financial powers of Rajya Sabha? What are the financial powers of Rajya Sabha? Yes, come on. Yes, answer is Rajya Sabha doesn't enjoy major financial powers. It has a minor role only. Money bill can't be introduced in Rajya Sabha, and if passed by Lok Sabha, then the Rajya Sabha can keep only for 14 days. Means Rajya Sabha can't kill the bill, money bill. It can't change the money bill. It can keep it only and only for 14 days. My next question is, name some powers which Rajya Sabha enjoys equally with Lok Sabha. Come on. Yes, the answer is the election of President and Vice President of India, impeachment of President and Vice President of India, amendment of the Constitution, and introduction of the ordinary bill. These are the powers which are enjoyed by Rajya Sabha equally with Lok Sabha. So these are the questions of PK testing. Now I will start day 6 topic, that is relation between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The objectives of the day are equal powers of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, superiority of Lok Sabha over the Rajya Sabha, exclusive powers of the Rajya Sabha, Union Parliament, the procedure and general features of lawmaking, and finally I will conclude the topic. So today's topic is divided into 5 parts. Now before discussion of these topics, I would like to discuss the key terms with you. Students, some of the key terms I have already discussed with you in the previous lectures. The key terms which are already discussed are joint session, deadlock, impeachment process, vote of no confidence, judicial review, pocket veto, money bill, ordinary bill, residuary subjects, union list, state list, concurrent list. So these are the key terms which are already discussed. Now I will discuss today's key terms, that is first is public bill. I will discuss it through an example. A bill is a proposal for legislation and it becomes an act or law when duly passed by both the houses of the parliament and signed by the President of India. Yes students, this so you must be knowing, you have done in class 10th also. When it is discussion mode, that time in the parliament it is known as the bill. When it is finally comes to the president and after the signature of president, it is called law or an act. So proposed bills are often categorized into public bills and private bills. Public bill is presented in parliament by a minister only. while private bill can be presented by any member of parliament. A public bill is a proposed law which would apply to everyone within its jurisdiction. Yes, students, you see, public bill can be presented in parliament by the concerned minister only. And whereas the private bill can be presented by any member, maybe ruling party member or any opposition member also. It passes or not, that's a separate question, but it can be introduced. Okay, so public bill is a proposed law which would apply to everyone within its jurisdiction. Means it's not for specific category of small number of people. It is for all type of people which come in its jurisdiction. The next key term is private bill. The example is many private bills deal with immigration, granting citizenship or permanent residency. Private bills may also be introduced for individuals who have claims against the government, claims for military decorations, or taxation problems. A public bill is a proposed law which would apply to everyone within its jurisdiction. Just now I told you. This is unlike a private bill, which is a proposal for a law that would apply to a particular individual or to a particular section of society or a group of individuals or corporate entity. So a private bill provides benefits to a specified individuals. So it means private bill is for a specific category of people. Rather, public bill is for all the people which come under its jurisdiction. The next is government bill. The legislative process begins with the introduction of a bill in either house of the parliament, maybe Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. You know, when a, an act is to be passed, it comes as a bill in the parliament. It can be any house, maybe Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. So this is how the legislative process begins. So a bill can be introduced either by a minister or by a private member. If it is introduced by a minister, it is known as a government bill. And if it is introduced by any other member, it is known as a private member's bill. So government bill means if it is introduced by a minister, normally from government, if the bill is to be introduced, the concerned department minister introduces the bill. Suppose if it is related to the railway department, obviously the railway minister will introduce. No one else from the government department will introduce. So this is what known as a government bill. Next is private member bill. The example is in Lok Sabha, the last 2.5 hours of every Friday are generally allotted for transaction of private members' business, that is, private members' bills and private members' resolutions. Every member of parliament who is not a minister is called a private member. So here I think so you are clear who is private member. Every person who is not a minister is a private member. If there is no sitting of the House on Friday, the Speaker may direct that 2.5 hours on any other day in the next week may be allotted for the transaction of private members' business. So, a private member's bill in a parliamentary system of government is a bill or proposed law introduced into a legislature by a legislator who is not a minister. That is called private member's bill. Now I am going to start the topic. The today's topic is relation between the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Students, you know we are living in democratic structure and there is a bicameral legislature. Means there are two houses at the union level, Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. India, with a parliamentary democracy, has bicameral legislature at the union level. The main function of the legislature is lawmaking. This, though we know very well, legislature itself tells us the meaning, the body that makes the laws. The Constitution of India provides a list of subjects on which the union legislature is to make the laws. I think so you know very well it is the union list on which the union legislature can make the laws. As India has bicameral legislature, So the legislative powers are exercised by both the houses, but this exercise of powers is not divided equally between both the houses of the Union Legislature. As Lok Sabha, the lower house, being the house of the members elected directly by the citizens of India, enjoys more powers than the Rajya Sabha in normal circumstances. But in some conditions, Rajya Sabha enjoys more powers than the Lok Sabha, and somewhere both the houses enjoy the equal powers. Students, in this paragraph, I have talked three things. Means sometimes both the houses enjoy equal powers, sometimes Lok Sabha is more powerful, and sometimes Rajya Sabha enjoys exclusive powers. Now, this only I am going to talk today in detail. First of all, I told you I will talk about the equal powers of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Means the things on which they enjoy equal powers. There are five things on which they enjoy equal powers. First is passing of ordinary bills. Secondly, passing of constitutional amendments. Third, impeachment powers. Fourth, electoral powers. And fifth, power to approve emergency proclamations. So these are the five things on which Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha enjoy equal powers. Then I will discuss it in detail. I will tell you how they enjoy equal powers. In introduction of the bill and passing the bill and everything, they enjoy equal powers. Ordinary bill, I told you, the bills which are not money bills are the ordinary bills. Now through an example, I will make you more clear. Total members of Lok Sabha are 545 and the total members of Rajya Sabha are 250. So you see the difference in number. Ordinary bill can be introduced in any house of parliament. After getting passed by one house, it is sent to the other house for approval. Yes, it can be introduced either in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And after approval in one house where it is introduced, it will go to the other house for the approval. In case of disagreement between the two houses over bill and the period more than 6 months is passed, the president summons a joint session of both the houses for resolving the deadlock. Yes, students, you see, if the other house disagrees over the proposal and passing of the bill made by one house, then and 6 months are passed, then the president will call the joint sitting. In that case, if the bill is passed by majority vote in this joint sitting, it gets finally passed and the decision binds both the houses. However, the numerical strength of the Lok Sabha enables it to dominate the proceedings. Yes, students, in the beginning only I told you Lok Sabha has 545 members and Rajya Sabha has 250 members. So, numerical strength of which house is more? Tell me. It is of Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha's members are more. So, when there is a joint sitting, then overall the it is checked that it is passed by majority. Obviously, the strength of Lok Sabha is more, so they dominate in this time, and their wish is binding on others also. They dominate the proceedings. In introducing and passing the ordinary bills, both the houses enjoy equal powers. The Constitution says that both the houses enjoy equal powers in introducing the bill and the passing the bill. Here, what I discussed you in the last slide, that was the case when there is a joint sitting in case of deadlock. Otherwise, both the houses enjoy equal powers. An ordinary bill can be introduced in either of the houses and its passing requires approval of both the houses. In case of the deadlock only, there is a joint session. Yes, the joint session is only and only in the case of deadlock. Otherwise, it is passed separately in both the houses. In practice, the important and significant bills are almost always introduced in the Lok Sabha as they are introduced by the concerned department minister, and the ministers mostly belong to the Lok Sabha under democratic structure. So students, this is very important to understand that in democratic structure, the ministers are almost taken from the party which is in the Lok Sabha, because majority party is in the Lok Sabha and their members become the ministers. So most of the times the bills are introduced by the members of the Lok Sabha, and so this way the bills are passed, ordinary bills are passed in the first house, that is in the Lok Sabha. Now, next point where both the houses enjoy the equal powers is passing of constitutional amendments. This also I will clear through an example. An amendment of the constitution can be initiated only by the introduction of a bill in either house of parliament. So you see here also the amendment bill can be introduced in any house, because here I am talking that both the houses enjoy equal powers. The bill must then be passed in each house by a majority of the total membership of that house. There is no provision of joint sitting in this matter, which is normally in ordinary bills cases. Yes, students, this you must remember that in ordinary bills cases, if there is a disagreement, there will be joint sitting. As I told you, president will call the joint sitting. If 6 months time passes, president will call the joint sitting. But in the matter of constitutional amendment, if there is a disagreement between the two houses, there will be no joint sitting. Okay, the bill is to be passed by both the houses separately. Till today, there have been total 104 constitutional amendments. So, students, this is the amendment related to which topic and when was it passed. So, you must find it out. You must Google it, and I will discuss in the class also. Okay, you must have this knowledge. When was the last constitutional amendment done and it is related to which topic? Anyhow, a hint I can give here, it is related to the nomination of two Anglo-Indians in the Lok Sabha. Since independence, this is being done, and now what is change done here by 104th constitutional amendment, you have to find it out. Okay. The Constitutional Amendment Bill can be introduced in either house of the parliament and needs approval of both the houses separately as per the Constitution of India. Yes, students, here you must note down the word both the houses separately. Approval is required. Both the houses separately means there is no joint sitting of both the houses, as I have already told you. But here again I am telling you, for the introduction of the constitutional amendment bill, both the houses have equal power. Means it can be introduced in any house, maybe in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha. The next point where both the houses enjoy equal powers is impeachment powers. Again, I will clear you through an example. In 2009, 58 members of Parliament of Rajya Sabha moved a motion for impeachment of Calcutta High Court Judge Sumitra Sen for his involvement in financial misappropriation. Probe panel was set up by Rajya Sabha Chairman Hamid Ansari in February 2009. But before it started in Lok Sabha, the judge resigned. So you see here, as both the houses enjoy the equal powers in the introduction of impeachment process, then it was introduced in the Rajya Sabha and it was passed also in the Rajya Sabha against the Calcutta High Court Judge Sumitra Sen. In 2009, the Rajya Sabha passed it, but before it started in Lok Sabha, the judge resigned. It means there was no need to pass it in the Lok Sabha because the purpose of the impeachment process was over. It was done. The judge resigned and there was no need to remove him through the impeachment process. Removal proceedings against the Supreme Court or High Court judge can be initiated in any of the houses of parliament. So this is clear through an example. It can be introduced in any house of the parliament. For this, a minimum of 100 members of Lok Sabha may give a signed notice to the Speaker, or a minimum of 50 members of Rajya Sabha may give a signed notice to the Chairman. So again, here is the point of difference in the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. As Lok Sabha has total 545 members, so minimum 100 members in Lok Sabha must give a signed notice to the Speaker. And as members of Rajya Sabha are total 250, so minimum 50 members of Rajya Sabha must give a signed notice to the chairman for the removal of the judges of Supreme Court or High Court or President or Vice President, means the people who are removed through the impeachment. Both the houses can individually initiate impeachment proceedings. After notice, it needs approval of the House with two-third majority. Yes, students, you must understand this point. It's very important. First of all, for the notice, the members 100 notice time 100 members notice signed notice is required in Lok Sabha and 50 members in Rajya Sabha. After this, when impeachment proceedings begin, the approval must be by two-third majority. It means 66%. So 66% members must approve it. Then only impeachment process is complete just in one house. It is not in both houses. Means it is to be done separately in both houses. After that, it will go to the second house. The procedure must pass in both the houses separately. There can't be joint sitting in this matter in case of disagreement. Yes, suppose in this example I have discussed Rajya Sabha passed the impeachment process against Justice Sumitra Sen of Kolkata High Court in 2009. Suppose he didn't resign and it started in Lok Sabha and Lok Sabha refused to pass the impeachment, then the result would have been that there was no joint sitting for impeachment, because in case of disagreement there is no joint sitting. It must be passed by both the houses separately. Now, next is electoral powers. Electoral powers are the powers where both the houses enjoy equal powers. Now, through an example, I will make you clear. Under the indirect election system, both the houses participate equally in the elections of the President and Vice President of India. You know, there are two types of election systems. One is direct election system, where we all Indians participate in the elections at the three levels: local level, state level, and the national level. And second is indirect election system, where we Indian citizens don't participate, rather our elected candidates participate and they elect the members of the Rajya Sabha, and moreover state legislature members elect the members of Rajya Sabha, and both the state legislature and the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha elect the president and vice president. So this is called the indirect election system. Here both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha enjoy the equal powers. The elected members of both the houses enjoy equal electoral powers. They elect the president and vice president of India through indirect election system. So you can see the picture of President of India. He is Mr. Ramnath Kovind and Vice President of India is Venkaiah Naidu. Now, next point where both the houses enjoy equal powers is power to approve emergency proclamations. Again, I will clear you through an example. Students, there are three types of emergencies which can be declared by the President of India. Now, here, first of all, I would like to tell you one thing. Normally, what happens when a bill is introduced in Parliament means when both the houses pass it, then only it goes to the President and President signs it and it becomes an act. But in case of emergency, the situation is opposite. Emergency first is declared by the President and then it goes to the Parliament for the approval. And there are three types of emergencies which can be declared by the President of India. First is national emergency, which can be declared under Article 352 of the Constitution. Second is emergency in the state. It can be declared under Article 356 of the Constitution. And third is financial emergency, which can be declared under Article 360 of the Constitution. The declaration of emergency by the President is subject to the approval of both the Houses of Parliament. It can remain operative only when both the Houses of Parliament approve it. Both the houses enjoy equal powers in this respect. Yes, impeachment process and emergency position can be declared and approved by both the houses. Here, it is not that one house approves the emergency and other house does not approve. Both the houses must approve the emergency. Now, I will discuss the topic that is superiority of the Lok Sabha over the Rajya Sabha. First, I have talked about where both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha were enjoying equal powers. There were five conditions. Now, I will talk about the conditions where the Lok Sabha is superior than the Rajya Sabha. There are two conditions only. That is superiority in the financial matters, and then second is control over the executive. First, I will discuss in detail the superiority in financial matters. Through an example, I will make you clear. A money bill can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha, and in case of disagreement between both the houses, there is no provision of the joint session. Yes, students, in case of money bill, there is no joint session. Joint session can be possible only in the ordinary bill, not in the money bill. After passing through Lok Sabha, it goes to Rajya Sabha, and it can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha. It cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha can keep it only for 14 days. The Rajya Sabha has no power to reject or suggest changes in the money bill. Rajya Sabha can't kill the money bill by not signing it. Rajya Sabha has only a 14 days delaying power. Yes, students, you see, Rajya Sabha may sign it or may not sign it, but it will be considered automatically passed after 14 days. It has only time of 14 days to delay it. This is called the delaying power of Rajya Sabha. The next power where Lok Sabha is more powerful is control over the executive. Now I will clear through an example. A vote of no confidence passed in the Lok Sabha dissolves the government. But if passed in Rajya Sabha, it has no value. It doesn't dissolve the government. Yes, students, vote of no confidence has value if passed in the Lok Sabha. If the leader of the majority party, that is Prime Minister, is a member of the Rajya Sabha, he and his party is answerable to the Lok Sabha. There have been three prime ministers who were the members of Rajya Sabha but were leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha. Like the name are I.K. Gujral, H.D. Devegowda and Dr. Manmohan Singh. So these are the three prime ministers of India who are members of the Rajya Sabha but they became the prime ministers. It means a person who is a leader in the Lok Sabha can become a member who can become a prime minister. He need not to be a member of Lok Sabha, but he must be leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha controls the Council of Ministers through question hour, zero hour, and vote of no confidence. The members of Rajya Sabha can exercise only limited control over the ministers by asking questions for getting information regarding the state administration and by criticizing the policies of the government. However, they can't pass a vote of no confidence against the cabinet. Yes, you see, there is a difference in the powers of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha here. Lok Sabha is more powerful. Lok Sabha has power of question hour, zero hour, and passing a vote of no confidence. This I have discussed with you in detail while talking about the question hour, zero hour, and no confidence while I was talking about the Lok Sabha. But here Rajya Sabha don't have these powers. Rajya Sabha can't pass vote of no confidence. Rajya Sabha can only get the information regarding the state administration and criticize the policies of the government. Only this power is with Rajya Sabha. Now I will talk about the exclusive powers of the Rajya Sabha, means the powers which are only and only with the Rajya Sabha. First is power of declaring any state subject as subject of national importance. Second is power to create new All India services. And third is power to approve an emergency declaration in the absence of the Lok Sabha. So now I am going to discuss these three things in detail. First is power of declaring any state subject as subject of national importance. I already told you that in our constitution, the subjects are divided into list, that is union list, state list, and concurrent list. The union government is to legislate on the subjects given in the union list, and state government is to legislate on the subjects given in the state list. But here is one power with the Rajya Sabha for declaring any state subject as a subject of national importance. Through an example, I will make you clear. In order to implement international agreements, the Parliament can make laws on any matter in the state list for implementing the international treaties, agreements, or conventions. This provision enables the central government to fulfill its international obligations and commitments. Yes, students, you see, suppose any subject is in the state list, but it is connected indirectly or directly with the implementation of international agreement or treaties or any agreement or convention. Obviously, then national government will work on this, and the national government is not to leave the things at the shoulders of the state government. National government will work in this situation. Some examples of laws enacted under the above provision are United Nations Privileges and Immunities Act 1947, Geneva Convention Act 1960, Anti-Hijacking Act 1982, and legislations relating to environment. So these are the situations which tell us that the Union Parliament can legislate on the state subjects on the exclusive power on the agreement of the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha alone can declare any subject of the state list as a subject of national importance, because when it comes under the category of international relations, so it becomes a subject of national importance. In such a case, the Union Parliament gets the power to legislate on that subject of state list for a period of 1 year. Yes, students, the Union legislature can work on that subject only for a period of 1 year. The Rajya Sabha can pass such a resolution repeatedly and enable the Union Parliament to legislate over a state subject. So repeatedly later on also the Rajya Sabha can pass a resolution and it can continue for further years also. But once the Rajya Sabha uh, approves to legislate on this subject, then it is for 1 year at a time. The next is power to create new All India services. Students, you remember that here what we are talking about? We are talking about the exclusive powers of the Rajya Sabha. Now, the second exclusive power of the Rajya Sabha is power to create new All India services. You know, All India services are the national services conducted by the exams are conducted by Union Public Service Commission, and many young students have the dreams in mind to clear this examination, like later on they can become Indian administrative service, they can go in Indian administrative services, like they can become IAS officer. So this new All India services can be created by the Rajya Sabha. Now I will make you more clear through an example. If the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by a majority of not less than two-thirds of the members present and voting, declaring that it is necessary in the national interest to create one or more new All India services, it can be done by this House. It has created three more All India services after 1950. Students, you know, our constitution enforced in 1950, and that time many All India services were mentioned in the constitution. But later on, it can be felt that there is a necessity of creating new All India services. More requirement is there. So this can be done only and only by the Rajya Sabha. And later on it has been done. New All India services has been created. The example is the Indian Service of Engineers, that is relating to in the field of irrigation, power buildings and roads. Then the Indian Forest Service and the Indian Medical and Health Service. So these are the new All India services created by Rajya Sabha after 1950. The Rajya Sabha alone, by passing a resolution supported by two-third majority, can create new All India services. Lok Sabha has been denied any share in this affair. Yes, Lok Sabha cannot create new All India services, only Rajya Sabha can create, but there must be two-third majority. And you know what is two-third majority? That is 66%. And the third exclusive power of Rajya Sabha is power to approve an emergency declaration in the absence of the Lok Sabha. Students, we have already done that emergency must be approved by the parliament. President declares this first and later on it must be approved by the parliament. I told you there are three types of emergencies: national emergencies under Article 352, state emergency under Article 356, and the financial emergency under Article 360. And these all three emergencies are first declared by President and then later on these are approved by the Parliament. Now I am going to talk about a situation when Lok Sabha is not in existence, then who will approve? Then obviously there is only and only Rajya Sabha which will approve. So this is also exclusive power of Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is a permanent house, so Rajya Sabha can be called specially for this purpose. The example is there in India once it happened. In 1991, when Parliament was already dissolved and fresh elections were delayed due to sudden death of Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, the approval for emergency declared in Haryana was required. At that time, a special session for Rajya Sabha was called to approve emergency. Yes, students, you see, in 1991, the Lok Sabha elections were to be conducted and the Lok Sabha was dissolved and the elections were delayed due to sudden death of Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. The government didn't have any other alternative. The constitution says the parliament must approve. So that's why the Rajya Sabha special session was called to approve it. In a situation when the Lok Sabha stands dissolved and the new Lok Sabha is yet to be elected, there arises the need to get approval for declaration of an emergency to be made by the President of India. Such a declaration has to be got approved from the Rajya Sabha. For this purpose, the President can summon a special session of the Rajya Sabha. Yes, special session was called. Otherwise, there are three sessions in a year: monsoon session, budget session, and winter session. Other than this, also special session can be called to approve the emergency. So, special session was called. Now, I am going to talk about the procedure of law making in the parliament. Normally, this have been discussed earlier also. A bill is introduced, it can be introduced in any house. There are what type of bills are there, and then after passing through both the houses, it goes to president. But now I will tell about all this in detail in point wise. Okay, the main function of the parliament is law making. That's why it is called union legislature. The measures introduced in the parliament for lawmaking are called bills or draft acts. Yes, when it is introduced, it is called bill. Students, you must understand the difference between bill and law. Normally, you confuse these two words, and sometimes in exams also you write the other word for the same word, like bill is the draft act which is introduced in the parliament, and after the signature of president it becomes a law or act. The word draft doesn't come. Okay, a bill is introduced in the parliament and it passes through several stages. When the parliament passes a bill, it is sent to the president, and after his signature it becomes a law. The Union Parliament in India enjoys lawmaking power over the subjects contained in the Union List and the Concurrent List. Yes, Concurrent List is a common for both the Union and the state legislatures, and the Union List is only for the Union legislature. The Union Parliament also enjoys the lawmaking power over the residuary subjects, that is, the subjects which are not given in the Constitution in any of the list. Students, this you must know. that suppose at the time of enforcement of the constitution in 1950 any subject was not there at that time, means it was missed out or it was not in existence, later on it comes, so it is called the residuary subject. It automatically goes to the union parliament. The example is IT sector. IT sector was nowhere when in 1950 our constitution was enforced. It came later. So automatically it was now the power of the union parliament to legislate on the IT sector. Is it clear? So it can exercise legislative power even on the subjects of the state list in special circumstances. So special circumstances, which are those I have discussed with you, when the Union Parliament can legislate on the subjects in the state list, that is to maintain the international relations, I have discussed in detail. In every case, however, it has to follow a specific procedure of lawmaking as given in the Constitution. And the procedure also you must know what is that. Some bills need a simple majority, that is 50%, more than 50%, and some bills need two-third majority, that is 66%. Normally the constitutional matters need a two-third majority, impeachment needs two-third majority, ordinary bills need a simple majority. So it depends, so that procedure must be followed. Okay. The bills which come before the Union Parliament for getting converted into laws are of various types, like public bill, private bill, government bill, private member bill, and money bill. All bills other than the money bill are ordinary bills. So I have discussed all these bills with an example while talking in the key terms. So you must remember what is given in the key terms. What is public bill, what is private bill, government bill, private member bill, and money bill. So this is done while discussion of the key term. Now I will talk about the general features of lawmaking. The Union legislature is not a sovereign legislature, as it exercises only those lawmaking powers which are mentioned in the Constitution. So you see, Union legislature is not sovereign legislature. This you must understand. It's a very clear point. Like, it's not sovereign legislature because it can legislate only and only on the subjects given in the Constitution, and moreover which are given to it under the union list or concurrent list, or it is one of any residuary subject. Otherwise it cannot make the laws on the state list subjects. The bill passed by the parliament becomes laws only after the approval of the president. So president approval is also again required. So that is why parliament is not a sovereign legislature, because whatever parliament passes, the president must approve it. Further, the laws are subject to the judicial review power of the Supreme Court of India, which can reject any union law in case it is found to be unconstitutional due to being passed on the state subject. Yes, suppose the union legislature passes any law on any subject in the state list, and in that case, who can check it? It is the Supreme Court to check this. It is a judicial review power of Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will declare such a law as null and void if it crosses its limits. So this proves that Union Parliament is not a sovereign legislature. The Union Parliament can legislate over subjects of the Union list and the concurrent list. Residuary lawmaking power is also in its hands. In exceptional circumstances, it can legislate on subjects of the state list also. A bill has to pass through several stages before it becomes an act. Every bill has to face scrutiny at the hands of a committee comprising of civil servants before it is finally passed by the parliament. Yes, students, you know, when a bill is introduced in the house, it has three stages. First is introduction stage, second is discussion stage, and third is the stage to pass the bill, when the bill is signed by the majority. Okay. Introduction time, the concerned department minister who introduces it, he explains all the points, all the clauses stepwise. What is the purpose of the introduction of the bill? Okay, and the draft copies of the bill are given to all the members in the house. The next stage is discussion stage. That time the bill is referred to the committee also, and committee consists of the civil servants. You know who are civil servants? They are the experts in their subjects. So it the matter is referred to them to give their opinion. Means what is right and what is wrong given in the bill. After the approval of the civil servants committee, then again the bill comes back to the legislature, and then again there is discussion over it, and finally in the third stage, then it is passed or it is not passed. That is the three stages to pass the bill. The Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha enjoy equal lawmaking powers in respect of ordinary legislation. Means ordinary bills have both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has the same powers in the introduction of the bill and the passing of the bill. However, a joint meeting method for the resolving a conflict between the two houses on any such bill favors the Lok Sabha. Student, this already I have talked to you. In the matters of ordinary bills, the joint sitting is allowed. And in joint sitting, as a member of Lok Sabha more, they are 545 and Rajya Sabha less, that is 250. So obviously, the conflict is resolved in the favor of the Lok Sabha. Now, I will discuss the joint sitting there have been in which matters till today after independence there have been joint sitting three times. Now, I will tell you through an example when there have been joint sitting. So far, joint sittings of two houses have taken place on three occasions. First joint sitting was held on 6th May 1961 following a disagreement between the two houses over certain amendments in the Dowry Prohibition Bill 1959. This was followed by another sitting on 9th May 1961 when the bill as amended was finally passed. So, you see, there was joint sitting in May 1961 and the bill was passed in the joint sitting. So, I already told you in the joint sitting the bills are mostly passed because the Lok Sabha members are more, and if the bill is introduced by them, it is passed in their favor. The second joint sitting was held on 16th May 1978 following the rejection by Rajya Sabha of the Banking Service Commission Bill 1977 and the bill was passed. Second time the joint sitting was in May 1978 when Rajya Sabha rejected the Banking Service Commission Bill. But it was the bill which was introduced by Lok Sabha, and then again in the joint sitting the bill was passed. And the third time example is the third joint sitting was held on 26 March 2002 when the motion to consider the Prevention of Terrorism Bill 2002 seeking to replace the Prevention of Terrorism Ordinance means POTO as passed by the Lok Sabha was rejected by the Rajya Sabha. At this sitting held for the purpose of deliberating and voting on the Prevention of Terrorism Bill 2002, the bill was passed. Here again, the Lok Sabha passed the bill and the Rajya Sabha rejected. So there was disagreement. And in the joint sitting, as it was the bill of Lok Sabha and the members of Lok Sabha are more, the bill was passed in 2002. So after independence, there have been only three examples till today when there have been joint sitting and the bills have been passed if they were introduced by the Lok Sabha. Now, the next step is in the passing of bill in respect of financial legislation, the Lok Sabha enjoys superior position. This I have already told you. In financial legislation, Lok Sabha has superior position. A money bill can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha, and in case of disagreement as to whether a bill is a money bill or not, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha decides the matter and his ruling is final. Rajya Sabha can only delay the bill for 14 days and it can't amend the bill. Yes, Rajya Sabha can't amend the bill, it can't delay it for more than 14 days. And if there is a confusion, either a bill is a money bill or not, the decision of the Speaker of Lok Sabha is final. It cannot be challenged in any court of law. So, Speaker's decision is final. So, this is superiority of Lok Sabha. Next is a defeat of any government bill in the Lok Sabha is taken to be a vote of no confidence against the Council of Ministers. However, if it is defeated in the Rajya Sabha, the Council of Ministers remain unaffected. Yes, students, this is something you are to understand that if bill is introduced by government and it is not passed in Lok Sabha, obviously, what does it mean? It means the government is in minority because if it is passed, it proves government is in majority. But if it is not passed, it means government is in minority. So automatically, it will become vote of no confidence and the government will dissolve. Okay, there will be fresh elections. But if the same thing happens in Rajya Sabha, then it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect the government because in Rajya Sabha there is no majority party which is ruling over India. Majority party ruling over India is in Lok Sabha. So Rajya Sabha rejection of over a bill doesn't defeat the government. Now, finally, I am going to talk about a very good example when our president proved that he is not a golden zero. Otherwise, we read in the books that a president in India is golden zero. He is just a puppet president. But our scientist president, Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam, proved that he is not a golden zero. The constitution says that, here I will tell you something brief, that constitution says that after the passing a bill through the both the houses, it goes to the president for his signature. The ordinary bill, I am talking here about the ordinary bill. Money bill, so he can't refuse to sign. But in case of ordinary bill, he can refuse it one time. He can send it back to the parliament to reconsider it. And if it comes to him second time after reconsideration, he is to sign it. Means he has one time option to reject the bill. And till 2006, no president in India rejected the bill. But first time in 2006, APJ Abdul Kalam became the first president to return a bill to the parliament for reconsideration. You know, it was regarding which bill? While returning the bill on 25th May 2006 on the issue of, it was on the issue of Office of Profit. Kalam had consulted constitutional experts for 6 days. Office of Profit, so I think so you must be knowing that is means the government job. I know that if anyone is to contest the elections, a candidate should not hold any office of profit. Means a person should not be enjoying any government job if he wants to contest the elections. But some that a party that time ruling in India in 2006 was making some changes in its favor, and Abdul Kalam refused to sign it. First of all, he consulted the constitutional experts for 6 days. After then he returned the bill to get it to reconsider it. But after the parliament hurriedly passed the legislation a second time and returned it to him, he held on to the bill for nearly a fortnight. Yes, he kept it for 15 days. After a second time, it came to him. Finally, the president, APJ Abdul Kalam, signed the Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Amendment Bill 2006, which he had earlier returned to the two houses for reconsideration. The Constitution does not give the President any option but to give his assent to the bill passed twice. So he signed the bill. Yes, this is what our Constitution tells, that President has the power to reject the bill or send the bill back to the Parliament for reconsideration one time, ordinary bill one time. But if it comes second time, he must sign it. It can come with the changes or without changes, that's not the point. And the second time it came hurriedly passed, as we have seen here, it was passed hurriedly and it came again So he was to work constitutionally, and he signed it. But imagine the situation if he refused, if he had refused it second time, then what would have happened? One time the constitution says that he can refuse. Suppose he refused it second time also, then what would have happened? Come on, tell me. It would have become unconstitutional. And if president does anything unconstitutional, then he can be removed through the process of impeachment. Then that stage must have come. So he avoided any such thing. So he signed the bill. The President of India can exercise his power of pocket veto over the bills passed by the Parliament. This pocket veto term is also I have discussed with you earlier. Pocket veto means to keep the bill passed by Parliament, which comes to him for signature, keep it on his table for unlimited time without signing. He can once return the bill to the Parliament for reconsideration. However, when the Parliament passes that bill again with or without changes, the President becomes bound to sign it and it becomes a law. So you see here what is the situation of the President of India. He is really a puppet president. He is a golden zero because it is proved here. He can't refuse the bill second time. Either it is with the changes or without changes. So the same was the case with APJ Abdul Kalam, the President of India in 2006. When it came to him second time, so he signed it. Now, I am going to discuss the relationship between the first and the second chambers. First chamber, as you must have understood, it is Lok Sabha, and the second chamber is Rajya Sabha. In constitutional literature, the Rajya Sabha is regarded as the second chamber, but the Rajya Sabha does not play a secondary role. Both the houses have developed their distinct personality and functional identity, and yet at the same time worked in cooperation rather than confrontation, in harmony rather than as hindrance to each other. To call either of these houses an upper house or a lower house is not correct. Each house has full authority to regulate its own procedure within the limits of the Constitution. Neither house by itself constitutes parliament. It is the president and the two houses together that are the parliament of India. Yes, parliament is not any one house. Parliament is both the houses with the president. Okay. The constitution treats the two houses equally except in certain financial matters which are to be the sole purview of the House of the People. Yes, House of the People means Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha enjoys superior power in the financial matters, and the control over the executive means passing the vote of no confidence in the question hour and 0 hour. Otherwise, in many matters, both the houses have equal powers, and in some matters, Rajya Sabha enjoys the exclusive powers. Now, finally, I can conclude the topic that a comparative study of both the houses brings out the fact that no doubt the Lok Sabha is more powerful than the Rajya Sabha, but at the same time, it would be wrong to assume that Rajya Sabha is a secondary house. Dear students, we are living in a democratic state. No doubt we know that Lok Sabha is more powerful, but it doesn't mean Rajya Sabha is secondary house. It also has some special powers as well as equal powers with Lok Sabha in some matters which makes its position quite strong. I have discussed everything with you in detail that where it enjoys more powers than the Lok Sabha and where it enjoys equal powers with the Lok Sabha. The Rajya Sabha enjoys a respectful place in the constitutional system. Now, what I have discussed with you today, I will summarize it. First, I have talked about the equal powers of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Under 5 points, they enjoy equal powers, that is, passing of ordinary bills, passing of constitutional amendments, equal impeachment powers, equal electoral powers, power to approve emergency proclamations. And second is superiority of the Lok Sabha over the Rajya Sabha. In two times two positions Lok Sabha is superior than the Rajya Sabha. That is superiority in the financial matters, and second is control over the executive. Control over the executive means through the question hour, zero hour, and the passing a vote of no confidence. Then I have discussed exclusive powers of the Rajya Sabha. In three matters, Rajya Sabha enjoys exclusive powers. That is, power of declaring any state subject as a subject of national importance. This can be discussed. This can be done when there is a point of international relations. Secondly, power to create new all India services. Yes, after 1950, three new all India services have been created by Rajya Sabha. And third is power to approve an emergency declaration in absence of Lok Sabha. And you know that when Rajiv Gandhi died, that time to approve the emergency in Haryana, special session of Rajya Sabha was called in 1991. Then fourth point is Union Parliament, the procedure and general features of lawmaking. Means what type of laws can it make? That is public bill, private bill, government bill, private member bill. And finally, I talked about relationship between the first and the second chambers, means relationship between the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And finally, I concluded that Rajya Sabha is not a superfluous house. It is very, very important house which checks the working of the ruling party by questioning them. Okay. Now, the topic related questions are, what are the two special powers enjoyed exclusively by the Rajya Sabha? I discussed the three exclusive powers. You can give any two. Otherwise, you must remember all the three. Okay. List two ways in which the Lok Sabha is more powerful than the Rajya Sabha. Here, I have talked about only 2 points where Lok Sabha is more powerful than the Rajya Sabha. Explain how the lower house of parliament exercises control on the executive in India. This though I have just now talked, question on zero hour and vote of no confidence. This all is the situation when lower house enjoys control over the executive in India. Next is, how has the judicial review undermined the legislature? Means the judicial review power is the power of Supreme Court of India. It can check the working of the Union Parliament. If Union Parliament passes any law out of its limits, if makes a law on any state subject, it can be declared null and void. And next is, what are the powers enjoyed by the Rajya Sabha? There are some powers which are enjoyed only by the Rajya Sabha. Exclusive powers you are to tell here. Okay. Now, students, my topic is over. You will watch the video again and do the topic related questions. Next time, I will continue the chapter. Till then, goodbye and thank you.